Howdy, folks. It's a beautiful morning, and I'm grateful to be alive. I have my morning cup of coffee this morning, but this is not a Morning Joe day for me. Today is a special day. This video is probably going to be long and rambling, and most of y'all won't make it through it, but it's really special to me. And I'm sitting here making this video with a grateful heart. If I were to try to type what I feel like the Lord wants me to share this morning, excuse me. Every morning, my nose runs like a faucet, and I can't do anything about it, but that's okay. But if you'll just bear with me, I want to share how grateful I am to be able to sit with some level of intelligence and consistency and continuity to my speech and to my thoughts, and share with you what happened to me 8 years ago today. It's 5 minutes to 8, and 8 years ago, 35 minutes from now at 8:30 in the morning, it was just another Tuesday. And I went to the shop like I did every morning except Sunday morning, and sometimes even had to go in on Sunday. And we were building a beautiful, beautiful door for Michael and Devin Bonds for their house. It was one of the most expensive doors we had ever built. And I went in that morning, and 11 days prior to that, I had buried my daddy in Virginia. And in the old German Baptist church, they don't hire grave diggers, and they don't hire funeral homes to do anything except embalm the body and set up for the viewing. But usually a member of the church in one of the districts nationwide, or in Indiana or Virginia or somewhere, build a casket and supply the casket. They basically do what the old people used to do years ago, is they all live and die together and handle their own funerals. But anyway, I went to Virginia, and the brethren had dug the hole, and we had the viewing at the church and the service at the church, and went to the graveyard, and they let the casket down in there without all the fancy gear, just a couple straps. And they let Pops down in the hole like we did my mama 20-some years ago in Indiana. And like I did with my mama, I helped shovel the dirt in on the coffin. That's the practice that the old German Baptists use. And I said all that to say this: I was 58 years old at the time, and my marriage had been done for years, yet Cindy and I had become, in public, the greatest Emmy-winning actors. And there was no physical fights or loud arguments in the demise of our marriage over the years. It was just one of those things. It had been dead for years, and we were just liars and fakers. And I would get up on Sunday and either teach or preach, depending on what Brother Mike was doing, because we would flip and flop and swap around some at Crosswalk. And even though we had just landed the biggest job of our career in the door building business, I think that door was $10,000 or $11,000, and there was going to be a good profit in it. But the company was struggling at the time. But I went in on that morning with just the weight of the world on me, and it was just another Tuesday. And I come in and checked my logs and made sure that I knew what I needed to do that day. And I went out in the shop about 8. Then I started working on, I believe I was working on the side light that I set a picture of, the beautiful Pecky Cypress side light. I believe that was what I was actually working on. And about 8:20 or so, I just got to feeling really, really strange. And so I went in my office and I sat down. And I was sitting there a few minutes, and just for some reason, I just started looking up at the back corner of the room. And I looked back so hard that I remember thinking to myself, George, what are you doing? You're going to break your neck and your head's going to fall off. And just like that, the George that I'd knew for 58 years was gone. I started having seizures. And Cindy had came out, and most of what I'm going to say in the next little while is not my own memory, but I've heard the stories from my family for so long that they are my memories, if you understand what I'm saying. But Cindy came out there and found me seizing. And she called 911, and Stephen was up at the cabin, and he came down, and the ambulance came. And I was told later that they just had me on the gurney there in the office, but they couldn't load me up and take me away until they found my driver's license, because that was the law. Yet I was laying there, just my brain being fried like a scrambled eggs. But anyway, to make a quick story shorter, or make a long story shorter, I went to the Marshall Medical Center South Veterinary Clinic. And I mean that with, what's the word? Anyhow, them folks didn't help me none. I guess I laid up there, I'm told, 7 hours or so, just seizing and seeing just almost constant seizures. And I don't really remember none of this. And Pastor Mike was there with me, my friend and brother, and I'm sure so the family was there. But anyway, I laid up there all day, and that evening, I guess the idiots there decided to send me to Huntsville. And they sent me to Huntsville Hospital, and I stayed up there for 6 days. And when I come home, I don't remember it, but Bradley sat with me all summer. And I was toast. And then flashes of memory over the next couple of years, I remember looking in the mirror. These are just flashes of non-specific things. But I do remember that the person I saw I didn't recognize that person. And my personality changed, and I was co-pastor in a church, so to speak, and Mike was the senior pastor, and I played in praise band and done the teaching and all that kind of stuff, and but I fell away. The people that I loved, other than the 4 people that lived in the house with me, or the 3 people, and Stephen lived up the hill, I didn't have no contact with nobody. And I'm told that over the next couple of years, I just was berserk on Facebook. I don't really remember it all, but I'm sure some of y'all remember some of the idiot things that I said. Well, let's fast forward to July of 2020. Cindy went to her yearly time in Florida with her mother over 4th of July. And 3 weeks later, she wasn't back. And I called and called and called, and she didn't answer, and finally she answered. And the story is quick. She said, when I was saying some things to her, she said, well, I'll just stay. And I hung up on her. And so she called back. And I said, if that's what you want, why don't you just come back to the house and we'll work it all out. There wasn't no malice or hatred or nothing. I guess she just had her fill of me. And so on the first Saturday in August of 2020, she left. And she came back twice to get her stuff. And we've been separated ever since that day. And in October of 22, our divorce was final. And it was a whatever. It was no fighting involved, and the judge just rubber stamped it, and 38 years of marriage was over. And then on March the 27th of 2022, my precious old dog Fredo, I had to take him and put him down with cancer. And I never drank much at all. Even before I got saved, I was a pothead. But that night, after we buried old Fredo, I sat out there in the Lonesome Hill Cemetery, our little pet cemetery out here on the farm, and I drank, I don't know, 4 or 5 Corona beers. And one beer would turn me into a groveling idiot. And anyway, the old devil got to whispering to me and said, George, this is it. He's took everything from you. He took your brain, he took your music, he took your ministry, he took everything from you, and took your wife, and collapsed your family, and now today he took your own dog. Why don't you just go in the house and get your gun and come out and join your old hound? And so I got up, and I was going to go to the house and get my gun, come out there and drink one more beer, and then I was going to pow. I was going to put myself out of my misery. And I don't remember whether it was an audible voice or a voice deep in my spirit or whatever, but I heard God's voice, and he said, George Wilt, no, you stop this foolishness. I didn't call you 37 years ago into my work for you to splatter your brains out all over the ground in a drunken stupor, because that'd be a permanent solution to a temporary problem. I'm still right here. I never forsook you and I never left you. I just was waiting for you to see me one more time, and I ain't done with you. And that instant, my life changed. He's a God of second chances. And I'm so grateful to Mike and Kay Alexander. They were in our congregation at Crosswalk, and they were at Cowboy Church, Sand Mountain Cowboy Church in Boaz. And they had been hounding me for a year. They'd call me every couple months. Hey, won't you come to Sand Mountain Cowboy Church? Man, it's great. You'd love it. Nah, I ain't into it. So just a day or two after Fredo passed away, Mike called me or texted me or done it on Facebook. I'm not sure. George, listen, you need to come to this church. You just need to just come one time, I promise you. So that following Wednesday, I went, and when I opened the doors to the church, a rushing wind of love came out of there. And I've been there ever since. I think now it's a year and 2 months, a year and 8 Wednesdays is how I'd been saying it. And I told everybody the following Wednesday night, I said, listen, Pastor let me speak. And I said, folks, I'm broken. I got nothing. I was going to end my life, devil tricking me and everything. God intervened, but I'm here in this church, and I need the Lord to return to me. And I'm broken mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, everything is. And I need a place to sit and heal and listen to God's still small voice. But most of all, I need to experience love, because I hadn't experienced love in so many 100 years, it seemed. And I'm asking y'all if y'all will just love me. And up until I had been there about a year, and God had cranked up my old tractor a little bit. It blowed a little smoke and blowed some rust out of the cylinders when he cranked me up the first time. But the urge to minister and the fear of talking to people went away, and my social skills began to come back because folks had loved on me and all those things. And I don't know, about 6-8 weeks ago, I began to feel compelled to teach and preach again. But I'm an old school guy, and I believe that if you're divorced for whatever reason, that disqualifies you from the pulpit. So I told Brother Michael, I said, Brother Michael, I'm a preacher boy, and God's given me my wisdom back to some degree. And but I want to tell you, I'll never ask or try to manipulate in any way to get into your pulpit on Sunday. And I'll never do the same to try to get on the floor level pulpit that you pull up on the concrete and teach from on Wednesdays. But God's calling me into a ministry, and I don't know what. But God ended up bringing me to this video ministry that I'm doing. He's My Rock Ministries. And He's My Rock is the song that I wrote the day after I got saved. And Brother Lee Fleming here in Boaz, Albertville area, helped me put the music to it, and he done the melody and all that. and it's an awesome song. And 7-Day Soldier Band, we used that song, and it ministered to a lot of people. But I just wanted to share with you that no matter what happens in your life, and you get like old Job, you're just sitting in a pile of ashes of your life. And there I sat. And Bradley took the separation and divorce really hard. And one day early on, Saturday night, I was talking to him, and I said, "How do you feel about this?" And he told me, he said, "Dad, I feel like my family is burned down to the ground and there's a pile of ashes. But on one side of the pile of ashes, there's a beautiful rose, and on the other side of the pile of ashes, there's another beautiful rose. But I realize that those two roses can't exist in the same rose garden." And that's just all I can say. And I think about that often. And what Bradley had realized is that he knew that his mama and his daddy couldn't be together anymore. But my sons, I love my sons, and Cindy and I speak from time to time, maybe every 2 or 3 months. We'll chat a second over something. She's doing well, and I was a train wreck. But in the last year and 2 months, Sand Mountain Cowboy Church has loved me back to the point, and God has restored my brain to the point where I can do the ministry. I've made 35 or 36 videos over the last few months, and people are watching. No matter how long they watch or what, doesn't matter anymore. It did the first few that I posted, and I got pretty mad and run my mouth, but I confessed online, and God's using it, and people are watching. I'm not asking for no money. I'm not asking for no subscribers. I ain't asking for nothing, because I ain't doing this for any other reason that a preacher boy just called long time, many years ago, to speak of the Lord, and that's what I do. So what I want to do in closing, I'll tell you, I'm here. I'm okay. My bones still hurt real bad. My arthritis is bad. The injuries, the back injuries when the dogs knocked me down a year ago, they hurt pretty bad every morning. But I drink a lot of coffee. I got my cup of joe right here. Excuse me. Pops is okay. I've found contentment. I've found peace. I've found that joy that the Bible talks about, and the peace that passes all understanding. God's put me in a place where I have a family. I have a church family. I love Stephen. I love Brandon. I love Bradley and my Ashley and my 2 babies. And now I've got another lady to love, and that's Miss Bennett. That's Bradley's girlfriend, and they're already planning to get married next year when college is done. And she's a sweet girl, and I'll be more than welcome. I told Bradley early on that when I heard what she had said about her goal in life, she's 21 years old, and her goal in life is to be a stay-at-home mom and raise her babies. And in today's society, if there's a young woman that's her goal, I don't have to know nothing else about her. But I've welcomed Bennett into our lives, and I can't wait till they get married. Folks, God is good, And he's always there, even if we can't see him, he's always there. And when we look behind us and we don't see two sets of footprints, the ones that are left aren't ours trudging along in the deep sand. That's God carrying us. I want to share a couple scriptures with you because that's what I'm supposed to do. And these are scriptures that I've kind of hung on to over the last couple of years as I've been searching to find God again. And I was so blind and so deaf that he's standing right beside me the whole time and I couldn't see him or hear him. But let me show you. In Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5, it said, the Lord himself goes before you. He will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid or discouraged. In the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 5 says, no one shall stand against you all of the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so will I be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. And the King James says, let your conversations be without covetousness, and be content with the things as ye have, for he hath said, I will never leave nor forsake thee. Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 39. The context has a similar meaning. Therefore, behold, I, even I, will utterly forget you, not forsake you in the city that I gave you and your fathers. I don't understand I didn't look ahead on that. But you understand what I'm saying. It says the term I will never leave you or forsake you. The Bible's ate up with it. God is always there waiting for our return. I'm okay. 8 years later, I'm okay. I'm not the same person that I was 8 years ago when I went to the shop that Tuesday morning, just another Tuesday. But I'm who God wants me to be. I've lost the pride. I've lost the arrogance. I've lost the desire to play music for myself in front of others for the adulation or whatever that big word is and all those things. Now I listen 100% to the Lord. I trust him for everything. I don't have two dimes to rub together, but God provides every need that I have. And my only prayer is that the modern Christian would come to grips with understanding the difference between needs and wants, because we're running 5,000 miles an hour into a brick wall every day, trying to have material things that'll burn up one day soon. Christ is going to return, and it's going to be really soon. All of the demonic spirits that have been withheld back are pouring out on our land. Open your eyes and listen to some videos about the demonic side of this. Those principalities and powers in high places are not the politicians. They're the evil ones behind the politicians, the spirits. And the politicians are just puppets. Everything you hear and see on the media today, in the flesh, these people are just puppets. Demonic forces the army of demons has arrived and are on the ground and indwelling thousands and millions of people to bring destruction and to make the way for the Antichrist. And you better call on Jesus before it's too late. I love you guys, and if anyone made it to the end, I really appreciate you listening to my story. And y'all be blessed. And I'm okay. He's got me. He's got me. I love y'all.